Hello everyone. In this video we are going to revise GST returns. Let's see the process flow of GST returns quickly and thereafter I'll tell you about each of these returns. Now, I have a friend, his name is Mr. A. Now Mr. A has made various sale transactions. All these sale transactions have to be reported in GSTR1 and GSTR1 is to be filed by 10th of the next month, and at present the due date has been extended to 11th. So 10th, the due date has been extended to 11th. Then he makes various purchase transactions. Now when he makes a purchase transaction, the other person, that is his supplier, would have filed GSTR1. The moment his supplier files GSTR1, all these purchases are reflected in GSTR 2A. This is not filed by me. It is reflected in GSTR 2A. Based on that, I have to do a comparison of how much of ITC is eligible on purchase which I have made. Okay. Thereafter, when we talk about the sale transactions, he would have supplied to government department. Say suppose he has supplied to government department. In that case, government department would have filed GSTR 7. Reporting all the TDS transaction, and the due date is 10. He also supplies online. If he supplies online, then he would have received GSTR 8, which e-commerce operator has to file by 10th, and both of these amount will be reflected in Mr. A's e-cash ledger. Okay. Thereafter, he also has a office in Mumbai, Input Service Distributor Registration, so that ISD would have submitted its GSTR 6. And when that ISD submits that GSTR 6, the due date is 13th of the next month. He would have taken ITC of that also. Now once all this is done, Mr. A is required to file GSTR 3B. And the due date being 20th of the next month. Remember, quarterly return monthly payment scheme is not applicable for May 21 exams. You will go by monthly GSTR 3B, 20th of the next month. For some states, it has been extended based on turnover. Now, once you complete this, see what all events happened. Sale, then purchase got reflected here. Thereafter, TDS returns came, TCS returns came, ISD filed a return, and then I filed GSTR 3B. Is the work of a regular dealer over here? The answer is no. He has to file GSTR 9. And GSTR 9 is an annual return. What would be the due date? Due date is 31st December. Correct? Yes, the due date is 31st December. Thereafter, he decides to close his business because there are so many returns. And when he wants to close his business, government does not leave him. He has to file GSTR 10, which is a final return. And the due date for GSTR 10 is 3 months from the date of cancellation or 3 months from the date of order of cancellation, whichever is later. Don't forget, it is later, not earlier. So you get more time when you are just saying a bye-bye to government. That is final return. Now, these are the returns which are required to be filed by a regular dealer, including casual taxable person. Now, what about a composition dealer? Composition dealer files a return GSTR 4, and this has to be filed annually. What's the due date? Due date is 30th April. Who files GSTR 5? GSTR 5 is to be filed by NRTP, non-resident taxable person. The due date is 20th of the next month or 7 days from the last day of valid registration, whichever is earlier. See, he might run away. So government says 20th of the next month or 7 days from the last day of your registration, that is valid registration, whichever is earlier. So say suppose he has taken registration for 5 days. So from the 5th day, you will start counting 7 days. Once 7 days end, he has to file return before that 7 days. So GSTR 5. There's one more return, that is GSTR 5A, which is to be submitted by OIDAR. Again, it's a monthly return, due date being 20th of the next month. So these are the returns which we see. 11 is filed by unique identification number holders for their purchases so that they can claim refund. Let's see whether we have covered everything. 1 is here, 2 is here, 3 is here, 2 and 3 are scrapped, so 2A and 3B. Then we have 4, 5, 5A, then we have 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 and 11 for unique identification number. This is how the entire return process works. What you must know about these? Let's start. Let's start with GSTR 1. See, GSTR 1 is submitted under section 37 of CGST Act 2017. GSTR 1 contains details of all your sales, does not include RCM. It only contains details of your sales. Now, when we talk about sale details, B2B invoices have to be reported separately. B2C invoices can be reported consolidated. But if there is an interstate supply, more than 2.5 lakh invoice, that has to be reported separately. Otherwise, all the transactions can be reported consolidated if it is B2C. B2B, anyways, separately required to be reported. Then when we talk about modification, what is modification? Modification is before submitting the GSTR 1. Any number of times you can modify the return. Rectification, say suppose an error happens, you cannot revise the return. See, a return once filed cannot be revised. But in future, in the month when you find the error, in that month, you can rectify that mistake. And the last date for rectification is date of filing. It's not due date, date of filing, September month return after the financial year, or date of filing annual return, whichever is earlier. The only difference being date mentioned here, not due date. Otherwise, time limit for taking ITC, time limit to issue credit note, and this is same. Okay, clear? Okay. If there is no business, you have to file nil return. Can you file this return before the end of the month? The answer is no. But there are two special cases. One, in case there is closure of business, that is cancellation, or casual taxable person after filing his or after completing his registration last day, he can immediately file GSTR 1. Who files GSTR 1? Any registered person other than ISD, other than NRTP, other than OIDAR, other than TDS, TCS. Other than these, all are required to file GSTR 1. 2A gets reflected and it's a document which keeps getting updated whenever the supplier files his GST returns. 3B has to be filed on a monthly basis. And don't forget, quarterly 3B is not there for your exams. Yeah, quarterly GSTR 1 up to 1.5 crore. If your turnover is up to 1.5 crore in current year, or in the preceding financial year it was 1.5 crore, in that case, you can go for quarterly GSTR 1. That was still there, applicable for May 2021 exams. When we talk about GSTR 4 annually, see, you will file return annually, but a composition dealer is required to pay taxes on quarterly basis. And what's the due date? For quarterly, he has to pay the tax by 18th of the next month after each quarter. After the relevant quarter, he has to file his payment, and payment is in a form which is CMP 08. In this form, he goes ahead and pays the taxes and files return only once in a year. Okay. 5 NRTP we have already discussed, again under section 39. 5A again under section 39. 6 again under section 39. 7, 8 again. We go by section 51 or 52 read with 39. Section 40 deals with first return. What is first return? First return is the first GST return which is filed. This is not a separate GST return. It's the first return which a person files, and that has to include data from the date when a person was liable to register till the date he gets his registration certificate. 41, 42, 43 sections are not there. Section 44 deals with annual return, and that annual return has to be accompanied with GSTR 9C, that is reconciliation statement certified by a chartered accountant or cost and management accountant by 31st December. For the 9C requirement, the limit was 2 crores. That is, if your aggregate turnover exceeds 2 crores, only then it is required. But now, for FY 1920 and 1819, government enhanced it to 5 crores. So that means 9C will be required only if turnover exceeds 5 crores. And aggregate turnover, not branch wise. Aggregate turnover more than 5 crores, then it has to be accompanied with a reconciliation statement in form GSTR 9C. 45 is final return. We understand final return 3 months from the date of cancellation or order of cancellation, whichever is later. You get more time. Section 46. Now 46 basically gives a power to proper officer to issue a notice saying that if a person has not filed return, then he'll issue a notice under GSTR 3A giving 15 days time to the other person to file his return. Sir, what if the other person does not file return? Best judgment assessment can be done. That we learn in assessment. But that is the power available with proper officer. Section 47 deals with late fee for any return other than annual return. 100 rupees per day or 5,000, whichever is lower. For annual return, 100 rupees per day or 0.25% of the turnover in a state, whichever is lower. Don't forget that these are under CGST. Same would apply in SGST. So all these are required to be doubled. Clear with this? That was 47. Last provision, section 48, GST practitioner. GST practitioner is given a separate user ID and password on the common portal. He has to write an examination, and after that he can become a GST practitioner. GST practitioner can do various activities on behalf of the client as he is authorized. He can file GST returns, he can make payment of tax, he can also reply to notices, etc. Who can become a GST practitioner? Two, A and B. Two types of conditions to be satisfied. In A, you have 4. Person of sound mind, Indian citizen, not convicted, not insolvent. All these 4 are cumulative. And thereafter in B, is a retired commercial tax officer with more than 2 years or 2 years of experience, or a sales tax practitioner or tax return preparer with 5 years or more of experience, or a graduate or postgraduate, or a person who has cleared CA final exam. He can apply for GST practitioner. Clear with this? Yes. And there is an information return. That information return is to be submitted by RBI or SEBI or electricity department, from where government can get to know the data of some persons who are spending a lot of money at other places, but they are not showing sales in GST. So to tap all that, government can request other persons to file information return. That could be RBI, that could be SEBI, that could be a taxable person, that could be a mutual fund distributor. Any of these can be said to be filing information return. Yes? Okay. See you in the next video.